How NASA is overhauling the global space station's old power framework. 3 forthcoming spacewalks are important for a greater arrangement to support the maturing space station's power supply. In the following couple of weeks, space travelers will go away from the sealed area on the Global Space Station, ISS, on a progression of 3 spacewalks, part of a drawn-out plan to update the space station's maturing power framework. The ISS utilizes huge sun-based exhibits to gather energy from the sun and convert it into usable power for everything from life backing and temperature controls to interchanges with Earth and drive frameworks to permit the station to avoid garbage. The old ISS power framework, including 8 sunlight-based exhibits that spread out from the outside of the station like wings, had the option to meet the power needs of the station to date by creating a normal of somewhere in the range of 84 and 120 kilowatts of power. Nonetheless, a portion of the clusters were over 20 years of age and were initially intended for a 15-year administration life, so they were giving indications of debasement. That doesn't imply that the old exhibits will abruptly remove or quit working. However, the station has had power inconveniences previously, yet it implies that they are steadily turning out to be less productive over the long run. What's more, with huge quantities of progressively complex science tests being performed on the station, the power necessities are going up. Those exhibits are doing perfect for ourselves and doing extraordinary science, yet after some time with typical mileage they get spent a smidgen. Anthony Vera, spacewalk flight chief for the impending November 15th spacewalk, made sense of in a press preparation. Also, a portion of those strings that create the power on those clusters simply fall disconnected. That is something standard that we have incorporated into our power plans for quite a long time. The moves up to the power framework comprise of adding 6 new clusters, which will sit before the more seasoned exhibits with an offset, permitting ability to be drawn from both. At 60 feet in length and 20 feet wide, the new exhibits, called ISS carry-out sun-based clusters, or IROSs, are more modest than the old exhibits, which are 112 feet in length and 39 feet wide. Nonetheless, improvements in sunlight-powered charger innovation imply that the new exhibits can produce about similar measure of power as the firsts. Adding new exhibits is certainly not a straightforward interaction, be that as it may. Before an IROS exhibit can be added, it needs support structures, called mod units, to be set up on the outside of the station. Vera portrayed a 2-section interaction of first introducing the platform and afterward introducing an exhibit. Right now, the ISS has 2 of the new IROS exhibits previously introduced. Framework is prepared for 2 more, and platform for the last 2 will be introduced soon, beginning with the impending spacewalk on November 15th. It will be the very first spacewalk for NASA space travelers Josh Cassada and Plain Rubio. Two later spacewalks likely planned for November 28 and December 1 will then introduce 2 additional clusters to the current platform, with the expect to have each of the 6 exhibits introduced and working by the center of the following year. Chris Mundy, spacewalk official, said the new exhibits will show up collapsed up on a transporter in the SpaceX CRS-26 resupply mission, which is to be sent off on November 18. Then the exhibits should be introduced, coordinated into the power framework, and sent. The sending includes carrying out the exhibits like a sweeping in a cycle that requires 6 to 10 minutes. NASA says these new clusters are being tried for possible use in ongoing missions, for example, the Artemis moon program, as well as assisting the space with positioning proceed with tasks. Concerning the space station, its exact future is as yet indistinct. While NASA declared toward the finish of last year that it expects to keep working the ISS through 2030, Russia, one more significant accomplice, has overtook steps to pull out its collaboration, leaving the ISS in a questionable position even as it gets strong new updates. Each new cluster brings new power, Fiona Turret, spacewalk flight chief for one representing things to come spacewalks, said. ISS proceeds to develop, and we have more science and more frameworks on the web. This extra power will guarantee we can work ISS to the furthest reaches in the forthcoming years.